Well, it's that time of day again where we talk about all the prepper news and the end of the world as we know it and blah, blah, blah. My name is Bear with bearblah.com, and you probably know that already. It's Friday, and it's the afternoon, or at least it is where I am. Eastern Oklahoma, the land of the free, and or one giant Indian reservation. We're not really sure. What's up, everybody in the chat? Let's go ahead and bounce over here to OBS and hit this button. Alt-tab over here. We're going to do a little bit of an intel brief today, 5 November 2021. We're going to talk about the Democrats in Virginia. We're going to talk about Trump, like Trump, but in khaki pants. We're going to talk about that guy, Glenn Youngkin. We're going to talk a little bit about China and Russia and a lot of the prepper concern right now in the world. Did you see that China and Russia told their people to stockpile a year's worth of food? Hey, I've been telling you for 4 years to stockpile a year's worth of food. Wake up and pay attention. Is it an indicator? Yeah, it's an indicator. Is it true? We'll see. And have you done it yet? No? Okay, well, then you quit worrying about China and Russia, and you focus on you. Okay? Sounds good. Virginia has flipped red in the latest election, which you're well aware of, with the Democratic Party losing voters pretty uniformly across the state. As far as the gubernatorial elections go, voter turnout was at its highest in 24 years. Republican Glenn Youngkin's victory represents a significant change from the 2020 results in which Biden won by 10 points. Why does this even matter? Quote, the results suggest that Democrats may have difficulty maintaining control of both houses of Congress next year, especially if President Biden's approval ratings remain mired in the 40s, end quote, wrote The New Yorker. It's no wonder that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the crypt keeper herself, said she was heartbroken over the results. I'm surprised that she was sober long enough to actually focus in on the fact that this even happened. Surprisingly, New Jersey's race was very narrow, though Governor Phil Murphy did win. From what I understand, he's a scumbag. I don't know, because I don't live in New Jersey. There's reasons for that. However, Phil Murphy, potential scumbag, did win, and some senior state lawmakers in the state were defeated. If New Jersey is struggling to hold the Democratic Party line, it's not hard to imagine how Florida will vote in the future. The best words, tremendous, believe it. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis said that the Virginia election results, quote, people are rebelling against what the Democratic Party stands for nowadays. The never-ending mandates and restrictions because of COVID, using our school system for leftist indoctrination rather than high-quality education, end quote. Here's the thing about high-quality education. Do a little bit of research on the history of public school. And I know there's lots of really good educators out there, but the whole reason that public school was put together was not to, literally in their own words, was not to create doctors and lawyers. We've got mechanisms to do that with. It's to create good workers. Indoctrination is kind of what it's about. But I digress. What's up to all my teachers out there in the Bear Nation? I know there's a lot of you, and I love you. I just don't like the system, in case you haven't noticed. Media outlets seem to be pointing to excellent red campaigning, Virginia, but one can't help but wonder if it's simply a reaction to the terrible leadership during recent events. Political scientists, what a phrase, I'm a political scientist. Oh, tell me you're useless without telling me you're useless. I'm a political scientist. Have pointed out to the key issue mainly being education. It appears parents have become highly motivated due to their concern about masks, social distancing, and gender and race woke theories. So what does all this mean right now? It's highly likely that Democrats will be more motivated to band together and pass some upcoming bills. Tom Malinowski, the representative in one of New Jersey's swing districts, said, quote, the number one concern voters have raised with me, voters, the best voters, all of it with the chunk and the little bubble, the Scantron, fill it in, A, B, C, D, E for everything else. The number one concern voters have raised with me over the last several weeks has been the inability of Congress and government in general to get things done at a time of great need for the country. So the best thing we can do in Congress is to pass these damn bills immediately. End quote. I'm a disagree with that one because the spending is already ludicrous. But you can see here that it shows that their concern here, the Democratic reaction to what's happening in Virginia is, we need to go ahead and pass these damn bills. Let's just push this through. We're going to touch on that in a minute. At the time of this writing, the newest social spending and climate change package, social spending and climate change, because we don't have any bigger problems at all to worry about. Let's just worry about social spending and climate change. That package is $1.7 trillion, which has been whittled down from $3.5 trillion, according to The Hill. And of course, if you're on Patreon, you've got all the relevant links. If you're not on Patreon, you got some links in the commentos down below, which is the best Espanol, everybody tells me. Here on the YouTubes, what's up to everybody in the chat? All the bills, all the taxpayer money, no worries for the elites. Damn Yankee. That's right, homie. From CNBC.com. Sounds like there's a delivery truck in my driveway. Shall we wait and see? So we meet force with force? What's going on? It's probably stuff that came from Jeff Bezos' third yacht. Virginia election sees highest turnout in recent history, fueling Glenn Youngkin's victory. And we're just going to look at these key points here. Glenn Youngkin, a wealthy businessman, flipped the Virginia governorship to Republican control in a race that saw the highest turnout among the state's voters in recent history. Voter turnout is also higher than any other gubernatorial election in Virginia since 1997. And experts say that the high turnout is a product of expanded early voting access in the Commonwealth and Youngkin and McCall's massive campaign war chests. I love the stretch here saying that it's because we expanded early voting access. No, it's because people are tired of tyrannical BS. I almost said a bad word there, but I didn't because I know many of y'all watch this show with your children. So I'm trying. Okay. From the New Yorker, what is the biggest takeaway from these election results? And there is so much fluff in this article. You can read it for yourself if you want to. We'll look at a couple of paragraphs right here. Quote, I think it's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad result for Democrats. This is a state that Joe Biden won by 10 points. It is a state with a lot of big picture things working against Republicans, like big city suburbs. So to be losing this is not really where Democrats wanted to be right now. You think? It appears that Democrats' loss of voters since 2017 was spread across the state fairly uniformly. Is that your sense? And what do you think this implies? In other words, how come the high population density areas, aka cities, didn't vote Democrat like they normally would? The response here is, I think that's right. If there is solace for Democrats, it is that this seems to be a pretty uniform swing from 2020, suggesting that this is about the unpopularity of the Biden administration and not some particular issue. Or it could suggest that the entire state is fed up with this horse pucky. By the way, kids, horse pucky is code word for another bad word. Bullshizer. The entire state is fed up with this bullshizer, this horse pucky here. And you're seeing that even in Virginia, in the high population density areas, people are voting conservatively. Now, we've talked ad nauseum at this channel that to think that the guy who says the things that you like and he's going to do the things that I also like and he's going to help make everything better. Homie, pump your brakes. You make everything better. You take personal responsibility and stop putting your faith in some random man or woman somewhere that he said things that I agree with. All right, everything's going to be okay. Stay involved in your local politics and your state politics. Stop farming out your personal responsibility to the guy you like the most. And then everybody complains, well, it's just turned into a popularity contest. That's literally what it is. That's why it's called the popular vote. Okay, just checking here. From the Hill, progressives declare victory in spending bill fight. So they've lost in Virginia, but they're not using this as an opportunity to pout. They're saying, you know what? even though what's going on in Virginia was just really, 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 really bad, we're still going to push through all of this spending. Progressives are declaring victory ahead of a possible vote Thursday on President Biden's social spending and climate change package, while saying they shouldn't be blamed for their party losing the governor's race in Virginia. Of course not. You can't blame them. You can't blame the individual under progressive doctrine. They're just, there's always extenuating circumstances. My mommy didn't hug me enough. My dad was really mean to me. There wasn't a third or a fifth or a 12th bathroom at the school that I went to. I don't know. I'm a fairly normal human being. I don't know what severe traumas these individuals have had that has caused them to act in this way. I'm sure it's always somebody else's fault. It can never be your fault because you're a special little snowflake. You're perfect, right? Mommy and daddy made you, or mommy and mommy, or daddy and dad. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm completely out of my element on all of this bullcrap. Liberals in the House for weeks have refused to allow a vote on bipartisan infrastructure bill approved by the Senate without also getting one on the larger budget package. So they just want to spend all the money. Now it appears the House is inching towards a vote on that legislation, with another on the infrastructure bill to follow on Friday. Democratic people said words and stuff. That's this paragraph right here. They're whittling down from just $3.5 trillion. I don't know why the dollar seems to keep devaluating. I do. It's called spending. And it goes on and on and on from here. After Speaker Nancy Pelosi signaled the possible vote, progressives inside and outside of Congress expressed their pleasure. Asked if a vote would be possible tonight if left-wing members didn't remain from their position, Representative Cori Bush, a progressive, said no. And you can read the rest of this article if you want, but essentially all of this fluff and blah, blah, blah is saying that in spite of the fact that the Democrats lost in Virginia, they are still strongly trying to push through the spending bill to get as close to the $3.5 trillion that they asked for as possible. Now, speaking of weirdos that do dumb things, we have from the Blaze here, Democratic Virginia delegate loses election, admits he tampered with Republican campaign signs at a polling place, and tells cops it was just a little hijinks. And this here is Chris Hurst, Delegate Chris Hurst. I don't even know what that is under the new rules anymore. He appears to be a white male, but, apparently looks can be deceiving. It has not, from the article, it has not been Chris Hurst's finest week. First off, the Democrat from the Virginia House of Delegates lost his District 12 to a re-election bid to Republican Jason Ballard. In fact, Republicans took control of the House by flipping 7 seats after Democrats held a 55-45 majority. But that ain't the half of it. You see, on the eve of the election, Hurst and his girlfriend were pulled over by Radford City Police after a sheriff's deputy allegedly saw them tampering with campaign signs at a polling place. Police photos show campaign signs for Republican candidates such as Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin and Hurst's opponent, Delegate-elect Ballard, flipped over and on the ground. Just a little hijinks. Here you go. Just a little hijinks here. Whatever. The officer said, I think what you need to do after I deal with you here is go back and fix those signs. What do you think? You try to resort to doing this instead of doing a fair election? Chris, quit playing. Y'all are up there turning over signs at the polling area and you're sitting here acting like you don't know what's going on. Hurst, here's what I would say. I would think that something that was a little hijinks and steam blowing off is exactly what everybody over on the other side of the mountain does and people all over this district do. Officer, so you're going to resort to that and represent us? Hurst, I need you to just do your job here tonight and I'll do mine. I have nothing more to say to you, officer. I'm sorry for actions that I may have done or my partner may have done, but I think you're getting a little emotional here. Officer, I'm not getting emotional at all. You're supposed to be representing us. You're supposed to be out here representing us and not out here acting like a school kid. How am I supposed to vote for you if you're out here doing this? Hurst, were you planning on voting for me? Officer, well, that's all up in the air now. Hurst, I'm sorry if I lost your support, sir. Oh, Hurst. Oh, man. Just a little hijinks. Speaking of hijinks, from theblaze.com, if she's woman enough, Virginia Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears lays down challenge to Joy Reid over white nationalism claims. And here she is. She's preaching. You can tell. I would bet you money Winsome Sears has spent time in a Baptist church. Look at her. She's fixing to preach right now. Do we even still have a live stream? We do indeed have a live stream. Yay! All right, Winsome Sears. Virginia's Lieutenant Governor-elect Republican Winsome Sears laid down a challenge to MSNBC's Joy Reid Wednesday night, daring the progressive news anchor to invite her on her show to have a real discussion about race and politics in America. Reid had claimed during MSNBC's election night coverage that white nationalism played a major part in Republicans' sweep of 3 statewide offices. But those comments didn't sit well with Sears, who on Tuesday became the first black female lieutenant governor in Virginia's history. Quote, and this is from Reid, "You have to be willing to vocalize that these Republicans are dangerous. This is not a party that is just another political party that disagrees with us on tax policy. At this point, they are dangerous to our national security," Reid said Tuesday night, arguing that Republicans were stoking white nationalism. Also, by the way, Joy Reid, STFU, Sierra Tango Foxtrot Uniform, Joy Reid. Kids out there, don't Google what that means. Speaking with Fox News' Martha McCallum on Wednesday, Sears responded by daring Reid to raise that argument with her face-to-face. Quote, "I wish Joy Reid would invite me on her show. Let's see if she's woman enough to do that. I would go in a heartbeat, and we will have a real discussion without Joy speaking about me behind my back," Sears blasted. "She talks about white supremacy. Does she know that I ran against a white supremacist? Joy, come on, get your facts straight and then come talk to me." Well done, Winsome Sears. Well done. Preach it, girlfriend. Now, as for China and Rosa, talking about, "Did you hear that they told their people to stockpile a year's worth of food?" Again, forgive me if I'm a little touchy here, but I've been telling you for 4 years to stockpile at least a year's worth of food. So, simmer down. Just simmer down. From the dailymail.uk. China tells families to stockpile food, triggering panic buying in supermarkets after floods and COVID lockdowns sparked fears of shortages. So we don't know for sure what the reasoning here is, but we do know what we're being told. Doesn't mean it's true, but we do know that we're being told that the reasoning here is COVID lockdowns and flooding. A directive from Beijing's Commerce Ministry told families to stockpile essentials. The move comes amid supply chain fears after heavy flooding and lockdowns. Some speculated online measure was in place in preparation to invade Taiwan. State-run media calmed speculation, warning against an overactive imagination. China has told families to stockpile food and other daily necessities after floods and coronavirus lockdowns sparked fears over shortages of essential goods. Beijing's Commerce Ministry directive on Monday, stirred some concern on domestic social media that it may have been triggered by heightened tensions with Taiwan, while some said people were rushing to stock up on rice, cooking oil, and salt. "As soon as the news came out, all the old people near me went crazy panic buying in the supermarket," wrote one user on China's Twitter like Weibo. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, I believe is what it's called. The government typically makes extra efforts to boost fresh vegetable and pork supplies before China's most important holiday, Lunar New Year, which in 2022 falls in early February. But this year, those efforts have become more urgent as shoring up of supplies becomes more challenging. And you can see on the screen here, there'd be a bunch of people standing in line to buy some stuff. And you can also see here, there'd be a bunch more people trying to buy some stuff. That looks like some really nice cabbage right there. Good stuff. Floods linked to global warming. Of course, it's not just flooding. It's floods linked to global warming, whatever. Remember, the planet is angry and is trying to kill all of us. Floods linked to rain because that's where floods come from, have killed hundreds of people and destroyed homes while the prices of vegetables have increased. In early October, extreme weather, including a tornado, destroyed crops in Shandong, the country's biggest vegetable growing region. Henan province, known as China's breadbasket, was also hit with torrential rain over the summer. Meanwhile, as outbreaks of COVID-19 cases are stretching from the northwest to the northeast of the country, authorities have imposed tough new COVID lockdowns in response, leading to potential delays and deliveries. In a sign that the government is becoming increasingly concerned over the food shortages, China authorities have recently revived an anti-food waste campaign that first launched last year. And so, in short, it rained a bunch, and COVID happened, and so there's fewer resources. Now, the stockpiling here in this particular article, it doesn't say anything about stockpiling a year's worth of food. It says stockpile food for, in essence, the lunar holiday that's coming up. Kind of like, hey, we've been talking about for months here, if you want a Thanksgiving turkey, the day before Thanksgiving's not the time to buy it, because turkey orders have been put in since February of this year in order to hopefully have enough to meet the demand here domestically. So, could this all be a smokescreen to make sure the Chinese people have what they need in order to deal with the supply chain issues that are going to come from China invading Taiwan? Oh, it's absolutely possible. Is it probable? I'm going to go ahead and say no. Not at this point. Comma, things are heating up in the South China Sea. Things are heating up in the South China Sea. But, picture says 1,000 words here. That definitely looks like a flood right there. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is what an invasion of Taiwan looks like. It looks like a flood. You see Traco here, refuse bins on rails. There's a front end loader here, so there's some dump trucks, another Traco, another front end loader. This spar, whatever was here, is completely destroyed. Part of this railroad track is washed out. You can see that all the underburden here is all washed out. There's a small crane here, another Traco. This is what a flood looks like. Now, again, could they say, well, yeah, they're saying it's the flooding, but it's because they're going to invade Taiwan? 10-4. Okay, if you're going to go with that, again, here's my question for you. Do you have your year's worth of food put up? And if the answer to that is no, remove the tin foil from your head, walk into a grocery store, get a shopping cart, and start putting things in the shopping cart. Then bring them home and put them in your pantry or in your closet or on a shelf or in the barn, or in a storage unit, or in the crawl space, or in the attic, or wherever. But STFU with all the fear-mongering and actually do something. Sound good? Okay, Bear. Are we sure? Yes, Bear. Okay. Do we promise to go do the things today? I promise to go do the things today, Bear. All right, excellent. Good. Now, the other side of this particular rumor that's out there flying around, or perhaps running around like a chicken with its head cut off, is that Russia told their people the same thing. From what I can see with a brief glance of open source information, i.e. the interwebs, I can't find that. I can find articles that are 2 and 3 years old of Russia telling their people to prepare for imminent nuclear war with the United States, or to prepare for war with the Ukraine, or to prepare for blah, blah, blah. I can't find anything recent. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that I, at a cursory glance, am unable to find it. I did find, though, from RT, which the R in RT stands for Russia, I did find from RT this article, which has a dateline of today. Global food prices hit 10-year high amid supply disruptions, factory closures, and political tensions. Food prices have surged to a new global peak, hitting their highest level since July 2011 and extending the 30% increase recorded last year, according to the latest United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization report. Now, the article goes on from here at great length. But let me just remind you, war at it, and if you have been here for any length of time, you know exactly what I'm about to say, and you better get it stuck in your head and act accordingly. Adjust your OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. Act. Go do. War, at its most basic, is a game of resources. When resources get tight, certain factions, whether they be on a neighborhood level or a national level or international level, will allocate other certain resources against the acquisition of or defense of key resources. We will delegate time, manpower, lives, equipment, treasure to either go get stuff because we're running low on stuff, or to protect the stuff that we have. You ever wonder why we have all these areas around the world called protectorates? We're protectorating them, right? Because of key strategic military value or military industrial value. Food is a resource. Energy is a resource. Information is a resource. And as things continue to get screwy around the world, there will be more and more and more competition for a limited amount of resources, which means things are going to move from proxy wars like Ukraine and like Taiwan to actual war like China and Russia. When? I don't know. I get that question all the time. What do you think is going to happen, Bear? Hell, if I knew, I'd be playing the stock market right now. Homie, we'd be having this conversation from my fifth yacht. I don't know. If I did, I'd tell you. But I don't know. But it's coming. How can I say that with any certainty? History, bro. Become a student of history. Just look around. Cursory examinations of the timelines of the world's greatest empires show the same repeating cycle over and over and over again. And we are at the end of that cycle. Love America, hate America, think we're going to fail, think we're not going to fail. It doesn't matter. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Mark Twain. And we're, speaking of rhymes, we're fixing to have an epic rap battle of global catastrophe here in probably the next, I'd say within 3 years. It's going to go from a little weird to super weird. We may not even recognize the world we live in anymore. And bear in mind the acceleration of all of these social and political and economical issues over just the last 18 months. The world today doesn't look anything like what it did 18 months ago. That's why so many of y'all are still caught in that OODA. Observe. You're just watching what's going on, but you haven't even oriented on the fact that it's actually happening. People keep sitting around going, Bear, what are we going to do when the big event kicks off? Dumbass, it's already kicked off. We're in the timeline. It's happening. And the reason I get so passionate about this is because I want you to survive. I want you to make it. I want your children to not starve to death. I want you to not have to go get in the government breadlines. I want you to have some say in whatever comes next. I want you to be strong enough that after all the shit hits the fan and falls back to the ground, and then we pull out the brooms and the mops and the buckets and we start cleaning this mess up again, the good, righteous, moral, and ethical, hardworking people are still left around here so we can put the pieces back together and make whatever comes next be something that's righteous and moral and worth defending again. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm telling you, homeboy, it's coming. And I'm so freaking tired of trying to evangelize for why you should be prepared. Hell, I don't care anymore if you're not prepared. I absolve myself of all responsibility over you if you're not willing to put in the effort. I'm not going to try and motivate you to do another thing. I need to adjust my OODA loop towards y'all who are actually doing the things. Y'all who are taking steps, who are taking personal responsibility. That's my job. I should be pouring into you and encouraging you and feeding you the data that you need so that you can go out there and operate. The rest of y'all that are just prepper masturbating, oh my gosh, Bear's back on again. He's going to do another intel report while I sit on my ass and do nothing. Leave. Go away. Find something else to do. Not your guy, not your channel. Unsubscribe, disappear. You can go watch somebody else's channel, and they will feed you all the fear-mongering, feel-good bullshit that it takes for you to feel great in your little tiny cocoon, your little one-man army of delusion. That's not how we operate around here. And I'm telling you, it's coming to a head. Things are going to get weird. Straight up weird. Not a little weird, straight up weird. But you still have time right now. And if you're not using that time right now to do the things that matter, you are squandering this opportunity, and you are frankly not worthy to be around when all the dust is settled. If you are, it's by the hand of Yah or sheer luck that you're still around. Hope is not a strategy. Hoping you're just going to make it. It's not a strategy. Go do the things, people. Do I even have a live stream left anymore? I guess I do. Quest Conquest. Albert Einstein is often quoted as having said, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." I agree. I agree. Bless y'all for being here. Y'all know the drill. BearIndependent.com is where you go to get American-made durable goods and your stickers and your patches and your t-shirts and all that. The Prepper Classroom series, by the way, we got it on USB and in notebook. You can get the Prepper Classroom series for free here on YouTube. It's a playlist, but if you want the workbook that goes along with it, or if you want all those videos, all of that instruction, because they're instructional on a USB, you can get those at the store at bearindependent.com. Something nice to have. Really good for evangelizing as well. You hand somebody that USB stick and say, "Hey, watch this. I care about you." Same thing with the American-made durable goods here. Pastor Joe's book, Survivalist Family, Prepared Americans for a Strong America. What do we have here? Disaster Coffee, the Bear Blend. I came up with that blend myself. I like it a lot. That's why I put my name on it. Shield Bearer of Faith's Glock t-shirt, Not My Way, Yahweh. Awesome. The Minuteman bag, Humble and Kind tumbler, the Humble and Kind t-shirt. This right here is the unofficial, official, unofficial uniform of the Bear Nation. And so if you're out there, you know, doing the things, but don't have one of these on, I don't know, man. I don't know. And all kinds of cool stuff here from all of our partners as well. We got our Iron Sharpens Iron Grindstone t-shirt. If you haven't seen that one, I'm a big fan of this. Proverbs 27:17 is iron sharpens iron, so a brother sharpens the face of his friend, as it says, which is interesting because your face is like your countenance. You lift and harden the countenance of your brother. It's powerful stuff. It's all, you know, there's cool stuff over here at bearindependent.com. Come check it out. Hey, look, it's a Loomf. Loomfies for life, B-words. All right, refugemedical.com. Handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. Listen, these things are trusted. They are on 4 continents with 6 branches, all the branches, tremendous, of the armed forces. And guys and girls are buying these for themselves. Their parents or their loved ones are buying these for them. This is not what they're issued. We're not so big that the military is issuing our kits right now, but we're so good that the men and women who wear the uniform are doing a side-by-side comparison between our kit and what they were issued, and taking the stuff that they were issued, returning it, and putting our kit on because it's that much better. When we say it exceeds military specification, we're not kidding. And so, on 4 continents, with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, in testing and evaluation by JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. This is Navy SEALs and Delta, although they call themselves CAG now, Combat Application Group, right? Air Force Pararescuemen are the guys who helped me prototype this along with U.S. Army SF guys. So they're legit kits. They're trusted. Law enforcement, civilian, sheepdogs, EMS firefighters everywhere. They're proven. 26 lives saved to date. We don't have a good idea that we hope is going to work. 26 lives in 2 years. Let me repeat that. 26 people are still alive because our team showed up for work. How badass is that? It's not a good idea. It's not something we hope is going to work. They're proven. 26 lives saved with these kits, and that's something we wear as a badge of honor. And they're an incredible value. Are they potentially more expensive than other kits that are out there? I don't know. Let's look. Here's the bare fact. Bare fact. $229. Can you find a better kit? No. No, you can't. Are there other kits that are made in America? Maybe. Are they guaranteed forever? No. Do they exceed military specification? Not meet it. Do they exceed it? Are they so good that men and women in uniform are throwing away the kits that they were issued and mollying this onto their kit? Nope. Literally, we set the industry standard on an international level for the individual first aid kit. It's an incredible value when you see everything you get in one of these things. The contents are absurd. Absolutely absurd. And it's all top shelf components. North American Rescue, H&H, TACMed Solutions, Medline. It's the best stuff you can get. $229 for handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. The SOB is only $200. $200. That's it. And that's with the components in it. Some of these pouches from other manufacturers are $90 or $100 for an empty pouch, and you still got to put stuff in it. The SOB weighs as much as one loaded AR magazine. It's tiny. It's the size of my hand. It's slimline. It's totally, totally badass. So it's an absolute value as well. You're getting what you pay for. If you break it, I'll replace it at no cost to you. If you use the components to save a life, I'll replace them at no cost to you. And I want to know, what did you do so we can add you to the list of 26 badasses who are out there saving people's lives. So trusted, proven value. And our stuff doesn't get stuck on ships at port because we make it here in the United States. And if you have a kit, awesome. Thank you for supporting our small businesses. Now you need to come to training, because it'd be a real shame to watch your wife or your daughter bleeding out after a car wreck when you have the kit but you don't know how to use it. Okay? We all carry firearms. That's just part of who we are and what we do. And we all acknowledge that you need some training to carry a firearm. You have a statistical likelihood of 0.000 something of employing that firearm in your everyday life to defend yourself or defend your loved ones. Doesn't mean you don't have it. Uncontrolled bleeding is the most common type of preventable death in the United States of America. Let that sink in. The number one cause of preventable death in the United States is uncontrolled bleeding. You got a gun on your hip. Hell, you might be a cool guy with a reload and a flashlight. Probably got a cool pocket knife too, right? Do you have a tourniquet? Do you have a blowout kit? Do you have a first aid kit? Do you know how to use them? If the answer to that is no, you are doing yourself and everybody around you a disservice. You need training. And again, this is not some cool idea that we had and we think it's going to work, and would you please come to class? Our guys have trained over 1,000 people thus far this year. Our director of training, Eric, has trained over 70,000 people. We have EMTs, we have SWAT medics, we have military police, we have combat lifesaver qualified, we have law enforcement, we have nurses, we have Marine Corps combat medics, all in our instructor cadre. They're going to lay hands on you. They're going to teach you how to use this stuff, and you will leave there better than you came. We do not allow people to leave class unless they have mastered the basics, the fundamentals of bleeding control. We take this stuff really, really, really seriously. And it's not, again, it's not a good idea. Oh, we think maybe you should come to class, maybe you'll enjoy it. 2 lives have been directly attributed, 2 lives saved, directly attributed to our training cadre, because those lives that were saved with blue tourniquets from trainer kits that their training students had on them when they responded. Which is why we call these Responder 1, Responder 2, Responder 3. Whether it was a motor vehicle accident or it was an attempted suicide. And in fact, just found out that somebody who was in a class, I believe it was yesterday, 20 minutes after the class, they were driving home from class and they were the first responders to a motor vehicle accident. Statistically, the most dangerous thing you will do in your life, if you're a normal person who doesn't wear body armor for a living, is drive. So why does Susie Homemaker or Bob the Cubicle King or, Tony the bus driver or Phil the electrician or whatever, why do you need a first aid kit? Why do you need to know bleeding control? Because you drive everywhere, and it's statistically the most dangerous thing that you do, and uncontrolled bleeding is the number one preventable cause of death in the United States. So you're going to drive. It's the most dangerous thing you do, and you're very likely to bleed to death if you get into a wreck. Average EMS response times are 6 to 7 minutes. You got 90 seconds if you sever your femoral artery. 90 seconds. You know how to put a tourniquet on? Do you have a tourniquet on you? If you watched somebody else wreck, do you know how to get up to their car and put a tourniquet on them or in an impinged limb? In that scenario, we teach all of that at Refuge Training, and we're passionate about it. We lay hands on people. We teach people. And then those people go on from there. Force multiplication. They take the trainer kits that you keep from class, and then they teach the people at their church, their mag, their school, their small business, their neighborhood watch, their whatever. We've got one guy who's been to training who's trained over 40 other people with the one trainer kit that he got at class. So refugetraining.com as well. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are totally badass. I love y'all, and I pray you have a blessed Sabbath. Bear is out. Shabbat shalom. Hit the button, T. I'm working on it.